We just witnessed the greatest esports event in history. I'm of course talking about RLCS 2021-2022 Spring Major. Now if you're not familiar with RLCS, it's Rocket League Esports, currently in its 11th season. Now this was a huge event because this is the last LAN event before Worlds. And there are 6 regions and 16 teams representing all of those regions. The stakes couldn't be higher and it showed. There were upsets, best of 7, game 7. It was pretty much the complete package. So I'm going to recap the event and tell you why maybe you should tune into Worlds when it comes up in just a little under a month. Let's get started. Firstly, let's take a look at some of the major teams that were representing some of the regions. For NA, there was G2. G2 won the last major event in winter, so they were heavy favorites coming into the event as they stayed on top. They're still the number 1 seed coming into this event. For EU, there was Team BDS. They had assembled a super team called Thanos by some, with 3 of the current best French players, so they were overall the heavy favorites coming into the event. Moist Esports was also a heavy favorite coming into the event, formerly known as Team K, so they were the runner-up the last major. For South America, there was Furia. Furia surprised a lot of people last major by coming in the top 6, something that a South American team had never done before. So they were looking to keep going on that success. And for MENA, there was Team Falcons. Formerly known as Sandrock Gaming, they had not had their full roster at a worldwide LAN event. In the fall major, they had their sub playing due to Ocala not being able to make it, and in the winter major, they were not able to get there because they couldn't get the visas in time. So overall, a lot of teams came into the event, and a lot of people were excited to see what those new teams and returning teams could do. But the location couldn't have been better. It was at the Copper Box Arena in the United Kingdom. Now, you might remember the Copper Box Arena from this clip that I played. It's the Justin goal scored over Dignitas in the Grand Finals 4 years ago. Now, NRG ended up going on to lose that game and the series, but it became such a huge clip and an internet sensation that helped grow Rocket League Esports. And people were super excited to come back, and it was shown by the crowd over the entire weekend. Now, there are 5 days in the event. 3 of them would be played in a controlled environment, while the last 2 would be played with crowds. Now, the first day was focused on the first round and the upper round 2. So, what happened that day? I regret to inform you that 6 out of the 8 round 1 games were sweeps. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't some excitement. Namely, this match. Team Secret, which was South America's 2nd seed, which didn't really have many expectations going into this event, 3-0'd Team BDS, the super team from EU. And that was really pretty much the exciting stuff that happened in round 1. In upper round 2, there were 2 more upsets. Version 1 managed to knock out Moist, which was the 2nd overall seed, and then Carmine Court managed to reverse sweep the number 1 overall seed in NA, G2. So although there were a lot of sweeps that day, you could tell that there was going to be a lot of upsets going into the next couple of days, and it set the tone for what was to come. Now the next 2 days, day 2 and day 3, would be focused on lower round 1 and 2. So on day 2, nothing really exciting happened. Besides for this. Yes, you're reading that right. Team BDS, EU's super team and number 1 overall seed, just got 3-0'd. Again, to get knocked out of the tournament by Kansas City Pioneers, OCE's number 1 seed. I know that's a little bit confusing, but regardless, Pioneers looked really good and BDS just kind of flunked out of the event. But going into the 3rd day, 2 more upsets happened. Furia, which looked pretty bad losing to Carmine Court, managed to recover and beat NA's number 2 seed, which was FaZe Clan. And G2 got reverse swept again by Team Liquid. So NA's top 2 seeds were knocked out of the event before they even got to the crowds. Again, setting the tone of what was to come in the next 2 days. So then, day 4 started with the crowds. The first two series pretty much went as people expected. Furia managed to beat Optic Gaming 3-1, and although it was close, Moist Esports managed to beat Team Liquid 3-2. But then, absolute ridiculousness started to come. We didn't have one. We didn't have two. We didn't have three. We had 4 best of 7 Game 7 series in a row. Now, 2 of these series had near reverse sweeps. The SSG versus Team Falcons nearly had a reverse sweep, and Carmine Corp versus Furia also nearly had a reverse sweep. There were so many Game 7s that day that instead of throwing it back to the desk like they usually would at the end of the broadcast, they just stopped the broadcast because it was 11 p.m. by the time the game stopped. Bear in mind, they started at 4 p.m. So we had 7 hours of Rocket League. That was absolute craziness. The ridiculousness of Day 4. Only 4 teams remained for Day 5. Version 1, which was the NA overall 3 seed, and Mina's team, which is Team Falcons. And then, in the lower bracket, Moist Esports and Carmine Corp both represented EU. And we started the day with another best of 7 Game 7 series. Version 1 ended up losing 3-4 to Team Falcons, putting Team Falcons in the grand finals. And then Moist Esports did it again. They went through the lower bracket, just like they did during the Winter Major. 4-1 in Carmine Corp and 4 upping Version 1. But now, the odds were stacked against them. They had to bracket reset, which means that you have to win 2 best of 7 series against the best team in the tournament up until that point, Team Falcons. So then, we had another best of 7 Game 7 series, which Moist Esports came out on top on. But now, they had to win again. And they won 4-0. They had managed to run through the entire lower bracket from lower bracket round 2 until the grand finals, which is absolute insanity. They managed to win the Spring Major, locking themselves as the number 1 overall seed in the Worlds event. And that was it. Moist Esports are the best team in the world right now. But why should that convince you to watch Rocket League Esports? Well, I just talked in front of a camera for 6 minutes. That does not do justice for the 20 plus hours of VODs that you will have to scroll through to watch all of those games. I watched nearly all of those games, and all of them were absolute insanity. And unlike other esports, you don't really have to understand things like champions or items. All you have to understand is that if ball go in goal, goal is scored. Point for team. It's as simple as that. And instead of 16 teams, there will be 24 teams at once, representing 7 regions. So I highly recommend you do go watch it. It's 2 weeks of non-stop Rocket League. And I hope you do enjoy it if you do go watch it. And maybe scrub through some of the VODs. As I said before, my 6 minutes of talking does not do justice of what happened during those 20 plus hours. And shout out finally to the players, moms, and parents. They were very supportive of their kids, and they are now on the top of Rocket League Esports. And if your kid is looking to get into esports or even just sports in general, do be supportive of them, and they may just be one of the best players in the world. But hey, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative on Rocket League, and if you do want to leave some suggestions down in the comments of what I missed or whatever, I really would appreciate it, and I will respond to your comments. But after all of that, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and liking and subscribing would really help the channel. So if you could do that as well, I would really appreciate it. But for now, this is Crystalized, signing off. I'll see you all in the next video.